Why would someone choose to go hungry? Have you ever wondered why fasting is so significant in various spiritual practices? We know that God created the human body as a finely tuned engine of immense power, needing fuel to run, and that fuel is food. Hunger, the appetite for food, ensures our bodies get the fuel they need, satisfying our appetites and providing us with energy. Yet, in modern times, we're conditioned to eat 3 times a day, constantly reminded that a hearty breakfast is the foundation of the day. We were taught in school to eat 3 full meals and exercise to stay strong. So why skip meals? The world calls not eating dieting, often done to lose weight or for health reasons. But some abstain from eating for spiritual reasons, known in the Bible as fasting. Fasting is typically undertaken for a defined period to achieve a spiritual goal. For instance, the Old Testament required the Jewish faithful to fast once a year. Leviticus 16 verse 29 says, "This shall be a statute forever for you. In the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall afflict your souls and do no work at all, whether a native of your own country or a stranger who sojourns among you." This is the Yom Kippur fast, observed on the Day of Atonement. God required His people to fast once a year on this day to remember the solemn experience of their salvation. On the Day of Atonement, the high priest entered the Holy of Holies and offered the blood of an animal in exchange for the sins of all. Leviticus 16 verse 4 instructs the high priest to wash his flesh with water in the holy place, put on his garments, and offer burnt offerings for himself and the people, making atonement for their sins. Everyone fasted to identify with the high priest who sacrificed a lamb for the forgiveness of their sins. Jesus also addressed fasting in Matthew 6 verses 16 to 18, advising His disciples, "When you fast, do not look somber like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." Jesus' caution against flaunting fasting emphasizes sincerity and humility in spiritual practices. Fasting is a legitimate spiritual discipline, but it should not be done for public acclaim. Instead, fasting involves temporarily abstaining from bodily desires, usually food, in favor of spiritual needs, such as dedicating oneself to prayer and seeking God's intervention. Concerns about fasting may arise, especially for those who have never fasted before. The idea of going without food for any period can be daunting as we are accustomed to eating 3 times a day. Many wonder if they will feel hungry, and if hunger pains will be painful. Others worry about whether they can endure fasting and fear embarking on a journey they cannot complete. There may also be concerns about encountering temptations and how friends will perceive the fasting individual. However, Jesus advised in Matthew 6 verses 17 to 18, "When you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you openly." Thus, fasting is a private commitment between the individual and God, and it is not necessary to impress others with religious devotion. Fasting can take various forms and may be done individually or as part of a group, such as a church community. It is not about dieting or eliminating food for health reasons, but rather a spiritual discipline paired with prayer. Fasting helps individuals improve their spiritual fitness and become prayer warriors for God. Just as soldiers require discipline, Christians too must engage in spiritual exercises, including fasting, to strengthen their faith. Embarking on a fast requires clear understanding and commitment, as it can be spiritually and physically demanding, akin to climbing a mountain. However, the rewards of fasting are significant, and starting with small steps can honor one's faith and lead to spiritual growth. Ultimately, God values the heart's response during fasting, emphasizing the sincerity and attitude of the individual over the length or intensity of the fast. When you begin to fast, don't worry about how long your fast should last. Just make sure your relationship with God is in good order. God knows everything. He understands and values the sincerity of your prayers more than their length. So, if you've never fasted before, start by skipping just one meal. In the Old Testament, Jews were required to fast for 1 day on Yom Kippur each year. A day, according to the Jewish calendar, began at sunset and ended at sunset the next day. God taught the Jews to count their days. So the evening and the morning were the first day. Genesis 1 verse 5. Plan to start your fast when the sun sets or maybe just before sunset. This means you'll skip the usual evening meal, then also skip breakfast and lunch the next day. After sunset, most Jews broke their fast by eating a normal meal. Although private prayer and fasting are foundational to all intercession, if you've never walked this path before, consider starting your fasting journey with another person. If you're fasting for a specific answer to prayer, invite someone to pray and fast with you. There is strength in numbers. Jesus said in Matthew 18 verses 18 to 19, "Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you, if 2 of you on earth agree about anything you ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven." These verses aren't just about prayer. They're also about the commitment we make when in agreement with another person. Think of it this way. When you plan a vacation with another person, it's more memorable if you plan, dream, and share experiences together. Sharing your vacation with another person usually makes it more enjoyable. The same is true for fasting. When you share the experience of fasting and praying together, your prayers are likely to be more focused. Fasting with another person also has additional benefits. You'll have someone to discuss your doubts, questions, and fears with, for advice, and to check how it's going. This phone call might give you the motivation you need to keep going. Don't forget the celebration. When you climb a mountain alone, you're doing it to prove something to yourself, and the victory is solely yours. But when you climb with others, you have many people to celebrate with when you reach the top. You celebrate, embrace, and then return to tell everyone about your victory. When you finish the fast, you can rejoice together. Simply being together makes the taste of victory even sweeter. Another advantage of fasting with a friend is that it establishes accountability. You'll be less tempted to snack or break your fast if you know a friend is aware of your fasting. Perhaps you've already run or walked for health with a friend. If so, you understand how having a partner can help you stay committed when things get tough. If you're strong, you might not need someone to help with accountability. But if you're not, teaming up with someone in the same boat can be beneficial. When you're preparing to fast, look deep within your heart to discover why you're fasting. There are countless reasons for fasting, which we'll discuss. You might already have a reason. When young David faced Goliath, no other Israeli soldier wanted to confront the giant. They not only refused to fight Goliath, but each gave David a different reason to avoid the battle. However, David was undeterred. He had a compelling reason to fight that particular giant. It's not just about praying and fasting, we fast for a reason. Are you willing to fast and give up your pleasures? Make a list of your causes. Write them down on paper so you can see them with your own eyes. When you keep a cause only in your mind, it can become blurry or vague. You might have a general idea of why you should fast now, but take time to write down your reasons. This will sharpen your focus. If you see it written, plan everything. Don't enter your fast casually or with a careless attitude. Plan to succeed. If you don't, you're likely to fail. Don't participate in a fast just to see how far you can go. "I'll try until I get hungry," some people have said about fasting. They then give up at the first sign of discomfort. Make a firm commitment to fast for a day, regardless of the circumstances. You've moved from thinking about fasting and wanting to be more spiritual to taking the next step and committing to seek God for your cause. You are committed to fasting based on God's grace and help. There are different types of fasts. The absolute fast involves eliminating all food and water. Paul underwent this type of fast for 3 days after seeing the Lord Jesus on the road to Damascus and being struck with blindness. And he, Paul, was without sight for 3 days, and neither ate nor drank. Acts 9 verse 9. For your first fast, do not undertake the absolute fast. This fast is intended for those who are deeply distressed or are fasting to resolve a severe problem, such as deliverance from an addiction or protection against a spiritual attack. The normal fast involves avoiding all solid food and drinking only liquids. The Bible often refers to this type of fast. In those days Jesus, ate nothing, and at the end of them, he was hungry. Luke 4 verse 2. There's no mention of Jesus drinking liquids. When people fast, many cut out pleasurable drinks like soda and various types of fruit juices. The partial fast involves eliminating certain liquids or solids, but not all. This is also known as the Daniel fast because Daniel ate from the king's table but insisted, as stated in Daniel 1 verse 12, "Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink." The fast didn't harm Daniel or his friends. At another time, Daniel reflected the spirit of the partial fast. "I ate no choice food, no meat or wine touched my lips, and I used no lotions until the 3 weeks were over." Daniel 10 verse 3. This partial fast specifies what Daniel avoided. 1. Pleasant foods similar to our donuts or cakes, a dessert fast. 2. Meat, a meat-free diet. And 3. Wine, anything that is pleasurable or brings joy. John Wesley's fast, as the founder and leader of the Methodist movement, involved fasting for 10 days before each conference, consuming only natural whole-grain bread and drinking water. He fasted and prayed for spiritual power to influence his ministries. All Methodist preachers left the conference resolved to change the world, establishing the largest Protestant denomination in the world. This reflects God's honor to Wesley's spiritual dedication to fasting and prayer. The rotation fast is rarely used in Christian circles as it's primarily for medical purposes, mainly to determine a person's reaction or allergy to specific foods. Groups often use the rotation fast to cleanse their system. The patient usually undergoes a normal or absolute fast for 1 day, then for 6 days. Only one new food group is introduced and consumed each day, rotating among the food groups. This helps determine which food is causing a person's physical problem through elimination and exclusion. When preparing to fast, several factors need to be considered. Evaluate your specific situation before deciding on the best approach for you. Here are some ideas. First, the first-time fasting factor. If this is your first fast, start with a 1-day Yom Kippur fast. If you wish to fast for a longer period to address a serious or ongoing issue, perhaps fasting 1 day a week for 3 weeks might be preferable to starting with a 3-day fast. Remember, if this is your first fast, you're embarking on an unfamiliar journey. Proceed with caution as you're learning new skills and attitudes for both your body and soul. Your first fast should be a normal fast where you eat nothing and consume only liquids for 1 day. This practice will help train your body not to react negatively if you later eliminate both food and liquids. Second, the matching factor. Match the reason for your fast to the type of fast. Choose a normal fast for a routine request and a more stringent fast for a more serious problem. Third, the comfort factor. Feel at peace with both the duration and the type of fast when deciding what you'll eliminate while praying. Don't doubt yourself or feel guilty for doing something. Fourth, the timing factor. Consider your weekly schedule, which days are not suitable for fasting, and what special event is coming up that makes fasting inadvisable, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, or weddings. Never start with a long fast as you won't know what to expect from your body or how you'll react emotionally. A 1-day fast is very manageable. Fifth, whatever fast you choose as your first, keep in mind that it is a leap of faith. God sees your heart and will reward you accordingly. May God grant us the wisdom to understand the spiritual purpose and benefits of fasting, reminding us that it's not the abstention from food alone that brings us closer to Him, but the sincerity of our heart and the pursuit of a deeper connection through prayer. May we fast not for visibility to the eyes of others but for visibility to the heart of God, who sees in secret and rewards openly. We thank the Lord for the strength and discipline that fasting provides, teaching us to depend more on Him and less on ourselves. Amen. If this content was valuable to you, I ask for your support with your subscription so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Together, we can enlighten more minds and expand our understanding. Thank you for being here, and may God bless you.